life outside the federal witness protection program.
Hey, it's Susan. Welcome to tonight's episode of Life Outside the Federal Witness Protection Program / Keep the Bad Guys Away. Hey, nice to see you. Happy Easter. Hope you enjoyed Easter with your family and friends. I envy you because I do not have that experience as my whole family is missing. But I hope the Easter Bunny brought a lot of nice Easter gifts to all of you. Now, I worked today. Worked at the hospital. It was a slow day, which on one hand was good. You know, it's always nice to have a slow day. It makes up for all the other days, and most days are actually hideous. So that was nice. But you know what? Unfortunately, the bad part about it is that that also brings time for conversation with peers. And you know, it's like I always have to be prepped for that. Like when I was getting ready for work this morning, I said, if something comes up and people just start asking me questions, what am I going to say to them? So I already had in my mind what I was going to tell them. But now I wanted to, on a side note, when I came home tonight, I was just looking around for resources because I'm always looking for options. And I was actually trying to just look at resources on where I can, promote my damsel in defense stun gun line. And then in just doing so, and just doing research, I came across this case that the U.S. Department of Justice is prosecuting. Apparently some kind of political scandal in which witness tampering was used and the guy was soliciting bribes and all of that. And the FBI bragging, of course, like how they're so great and, we're not going to let criminals get away with this. I was like so ready to vomit because, their own departments letting their own agents get away with the same shit despite, getting away with crime, despite the fact that the US Marshal Service told me 4 years ago that the FBI can arrest their own agents. But, that's why I said when it comes to the FBI, they're just so well, how should we say, marketed, that everybody thinks they're great no matter what. Everybody except me thinks they're great. Me and Elliot Williams, the ICE attorney in the Office of Congressional Affairs in Washington. But anyway, so in this particular case that I was reading tonight, I talked about the use of informants and about how they used a business associate of this guy as an informant. So like when I talk about a lot of my stuff, sometimes people, if they don't watch enough crime TV or if they're not in the industry per se, they think my situation sounds like total crazy. It sounds like a total hoax. No, they use informants. People can face conspiracy charges. If you read this case, you'll see these words it'll say conspiracy. People get charged with conspiracy. People get charged with what they call RICO violations. It's called the Racketeering, Influence, Corrupt Organization Act. So we're talking about organized crime. Witness tampering, a lot of that falls underneath RICO violations. So it all exists. And so if you ever have any question on whether or not any of the stuff you see on TV or any of the stuff that I talk about actually happens, conspiracies, witness tampering, and so forth, just go to the U.S. Department of Justice's website and read about some of the cases that they prosecute on a routine basis. Oh, why the heck my case still can't get prosecuted is beyond me. But so anyway, at the hospital today, there was some downtime. At the hospital, so I kind of had what I was going to say today, to these people so they can get it, because my situation is pretty big. But it's like I just said, well, you know what? I have a missing son. And then people want to know what happened, and so I just gave them a synopsis. Is that my retired next door neighbor, who was an undercover drug detective, for the Dayton police, wanted an FBI report made in 2004. I made an FBI report, and shit kept freaking happening over the years, and I kept calling the FBI, and I'm like, and my expectation of the FBI is like when I call them that they would actually do something about it, like stuff like you see on TV, like they would come in and like foil a plot, they would kidnap people, but like it just never happened. And so I just kept having to bitch to like all these other people, I was explaining I had to bitch to the, Nevada governor, attorney general, secretary of state. I mean, I was always bitching, right? So, and they did acknowledge the fact that, I've been through some challenges, and they acknowledge the fact that, boy, what a way for a kid to live. Well, exactly. I hope that they were being sincere. my situation, you never know. I mean, I never know if I tell any part of my story, if someone that would acknowledge that this is bad is actually being sincere, or if they're just trying to like be sincere in an attempt to keep me in a certain district for whatever reason that might be. Could be a number of reasons in my situation. But so that's why I said, I mean, nice gesture, and the fact that they acknowledge that this could, was kind of a disaster, and that it was huge and it was massive, because I tried to explain to them this is Homeland Security massive. There's lots of missing kids. It's Homeland Security massive. I've got agents. I got tons of ICE agents. Tons. I got tons of ICE agents. I got agents. I mean, I got agents. ICE agents. I got, some people in the Marshal Service. It's massive. It's big. It's huge. And I said, and it's even 10 times worse because of how the FBI handled it. Like I said, I pick up the phone, I call them, they don't know anything. And so I was trying to, explain like how these criminals are really, really sophisticated and will use many different methods to kidnap children. But so I didn't get into the terrorism piece though, because that would really, really scare people. But there were a couple things, it's like I have to wonder what's going on, because just, like different nurses talking today. One nurse is apparently going to start a real estate business. Well, that would be a coincidence, and I don't know if like that was just coming up because they wanted me to start talking about, the fact that my son's father, Alex, who turned out to be the terrorist, was a mortgage loan officer, and they wanted me to drum up stuff about that. I didn't go into that per se, like really, really big. But these would be things that they would bring up and attempt to like try to start a conversation. Okay, so then, vacations. All these nurses kept talking about vacations today. One just happened to kept talking about San Juan, Puerto Rico. I've been to San Juan, Puerto Rico. I went to San Juan, Puerto Rico after ICE wrote that letter to Senator Harry Reid. Cruises came up, going on cruises, San Juan, Puerto Rico, the real estate industry, and so forth. And then my nurse manager comes in today, and she's dressed as if she's going to like go hop on a cruise tomorrow. I didn't even recognize her when she walked on the door, because literally she looked like she was gonna go to hop on a cruise and go to the beach or something like that, but she was dressed all cute, but whatever. The theme was vacation, so I don't know if somebody wanted me to bring up vacations or what. But I did talk a little bit about my son in that situation, that it was massive, and that it's, I described it in healthcare terms, like it's multi-system organ failure to the third power times 100 times 1,000 to the 100th power, because it's that big. There's many criminal components, and it's organized crime. So I don't know. They seem to get it, but like I said, whether or not they were sincere, I don't know. But I don't like it when people start bringing up stuff that might because this is what informants would do. They would be triggers. Let's bring up something that might trigger Susan to talk. Well, like, I don't know why does everybody want me to talk? There's nothing that I know that's not already known. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so now back to this informant thing. So like I said, this case I was reading tonight talked about how they were using informants. So, I've actually steered informants in the wrong direction on purpose with the intention of just pissing them off, because I know that they're not being sincere people, that they're informants, and they could be getting paid off, getting bribed, whatever. So, like, let me give you an example. This was many years ago, about 4 years ago or so, at Spring Valley in the emergency room. A nurse I worked with, Erica, her husband is apparently a Las Vegas Metro police officer. I guess she met him through some dating service, online dating service or whatever. And I don't know, I guess somewhere down the road he got promotions and was doing some kind of undercover shit in a hotel or something like that. But okay, so this is back in 2010, after all hell broke loose with Senator Harry Reid's office. I'm working in the ER, and see, and Erica and I, we didn't hate each other or anything like that, but we like never had any kind of like, how should we say, we just weren't like really, really like two people that talked about any of our situations together. But she approached me and asked me about my son. I said, I gave him up, I gave him up for adoption, life's really hard and all of that. but I didn't go into any more detail than that. But I felt like because she was married to a Las Vegas Metro police officer that she was being used as an informant, because she never ever seemed concerned about anything with my son, no matter, even when I would bitch a little bit at work in the past, until all hell broke loose, you know, until I wrote that letter and so forth. But now on top of that, so that's why I said there's no need to use informants, because a law enforcement officer at any level, except for the FBI, because I can't fucking stand them. I just can't stand the FBI. I'm never talking to them again. So, but the thing about it is like they could just come and ask me questions themselves in their professional capacity. There's no need for all of this undercover crap. So, and that actually is scary to me. I don't like that. I mean, like, to give you another example, when all hell broke loose with Senator Harry Reid's office and all that, and I had contacted Peter Lazaro, this was in the summer of 2010, you know, I'm like, Lazaro, all these people following me on my cruises and stuff like that, and he was like, it's scary, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah, it is scary. I don't know, and the conversations with Lazaro always seem to get cut short, but whatever. It is scary to me. I don't like these undercover people. Why the hell Lazaro ended up tracking me down in Phoenix, Arizona on a bus a month or so later is beyond me, but anyway. So after Erica had said this and all hell was breaking loose, and I made some 911 calls into Las Vegas Metro because I was having trouble in this hotel, and I didn't like this car that Mark Moore had outside this hotel because he's so fucking crazy. He probably just set a bomb to it, and I needed somebody to move it, right? So I had called 911, like Metro comes out, don't call 911, you know, call the, you know, whatever, call the non-emergent number. But one of the officers, so when they were out on this 911 call, he just kind of like asked me, but this was he was in uniform, Las Vegas Metro police officer in uniform, asked me, because I had already, now get this, I had already put this case, I had already responded to this case, that Citibank case that talked about someone assaulted my son. I don't think I used the word assault. Someone abused my son and got away with it. Someone physically abused my son and got away with it. I wasn't really familiar with the assault term, but when this Las Vegas Metro police officer came out on that 911 call, he asked me, he's like, you didn't assault your son? I'm like, no. Is somebody telling you that I did? I was never allowed to see any of the court filings. Neither was Tabitha, and it was intentional. And according to Mark Moore, that judge, this magistrate judge or somebody like that, got paid off a tune of about $30,000. So, but anyway, what I'm saying is that we don't need informants, because when the Las Vegas Metro Police came out and asked me, and this is not, of course, the Division of Abuse and Neglect. This was the officers that came out on this 911 call specifically asked me that. I answered their question. Do you see? So I don't mind telling my story, but I don't like the informant thing. Informants, you know, and see, this is part of the reason why I mean, I really shouldn't even be communicating with the public at all. And part of the reason why I do these videos is to talk about actually the shit. It's to actually talk about the shit that they put me through. You know, it's like, because see, I never know if somebody's going to, like, what they're going to do with the information, or if they're going to misinterpret the information. You see? So home-based business, I'm going to keep working on my home-based business. And then, you know, if anybody has any questions, that is, you know, in uniform, a law enforcement person in uniform, you know, that is not the FBI, then come knocking on my door and I'll answer your questions. But quit using these damn informants. And I'm sick of people getting paid off and bribing and bringing in food and stuff to work. And, oh, Susan, go get some cake and all that, just to try to see if they can buddy me up. I mean, I don't know. The nurse that I gave a report to tonight started asking me more questions about travel nursing that were strange, you know. And then there was another nurse that was on today that started asking me questions about travel nursing. That in and of itself is not unusual, but it's like, you know, most of the time when I go on these travel assignments, nobody wants to be my friend. Usually nobody talks to me. Usually I get yelled at, screamed at, and blown off. Usually nobody wants to talk to me, so why is everybody wanting to talk to me here? That makes me suspicious as well. Like I said, there's something going on. Anyway, that's tonight's Easter episode of Life Outside the Federal Witness Protection Program / Keep the Bag Guys. So keep your stun gun handy. There's real criminals and terrorists out there, like an FBI, CIA, Al-Qaeda task force. And Al-Qaeda. I'll see you next time.